and welcome to this meeting just to discuss that I've gone over your policies and procedures. I've looked into it, and in my findings I've completed a review of your current business plan, and I've discovered there's a few potential issues. First one is in your policies and procedures there's nothing in regards to if people want flexible work options, which under the Fair Work Act you need to state, as employees have the right to ask for flexible work options if they're over the age of 55, if they're a parent, or they're caring for someone. So I think this needs to be placed into your policy. Also, another thing, I would also recommend putting in something clearer on termination for employees, as in your policies this isn't there. So you need to include also what happens with their pay, how much notice period that we will give them, their entitlements if they were terminated. So I'd suggest placing this under in your policy and procedure guide under a new policy, and I'd probably title that termination policy and procedure. And my third recommendation is to also add redundancy. This will be outlined in more details to what you originally had. There wasn't much written there. So I'd also do that. And lastly, staff are covered by the Bean Coffee Shop, the Restaurant Industry Award. So this is only detailed lightly. I'd also recommend you need to put this in your policy procedure, just a bit more detail of their pays and their scales and how they move up as well.
Basically, we just transfer that across from the restaurant EBA and bring it into our contract.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be stated more clearly. So there's quite a few elements looking over that I've picked up that we should include and need to change. So they're the few things that I would do to implement my strategy. Okay, so I've come up with a checklist and timeline. So what I'd be doing is, first obviously we need to communicate all these changes to the employees, because they're going to need to know, being their job, what's going to happen with their pay structure, if they were terminated, anything like that. So it's important that they have an understanding. I've actually set up an online training for them to complete. An email will be sent out to all staff members to complete this training, and then they'll have 2 weeks.
We go over that email prior to it going out to all the staff.
Sure, because then they'll have 2 weeks to complete the training. Then after that, what will happen is there will be we'll have a staff meeting with everyone about a week later, and this gives us time if any of the staff have any questions about the new policies and procedures, if maybe we'll take all their feedback, we'll review it, and if anything needs to be changed, we've got a couple of days to implement these changes, and then we've got about 7 days after that, then the changes will come through in the business. So we'll actually implement all this. Yeah, so that'll be...
What sort of costs are expected with this rollout?
So being more in-house, I knew that we're on a bit of a budget, so I haven't gone external to do the training. So I've actually set up the online training for all staff, and obviously communication, that's why I've gone the avenue of having a staff meeting and doing the emails to communicate. So that's why there isn't much of a cost.
Yeah. So no training is going to be conducted externally?
No,
okay.
So all internally. Yeah. Was there any other questions about the training?
No,
that's all right. And anything else?
Yes, I've got a couple of questions. I want to know if you've seen any issues in implementing the new policy and procedure.
The only issue I'd see is if the staff members, they're given the 2 weeks to complete the training, but if they don't complete it before the staff meeting, so that's when we'll have to get the managers involved to make sure.
Well, we can make that a compulsory act, so part of their employment we're going to have to undertake it. That time frame and make sure that's done on our side, I think.
Yeah, so if we just push the managers obviously to enforce it before the meeting, so then that'll make it work.
Have you drafted an email in regards to that to inform all staff of what's going to be occurring?
Yes, I
Well, if
have.
we can do that and then confirm the dates,
Yeah, that would be
we'll
perfect.
just get all that sent out with our signatures on it.
So do you see any risks if we don't implement the strategy?
Well, the risk is obviously, well, the staff won't know the information, they won't know what's happening with the policy changes. So I think it is very important that it has to be communicated and they do undergo a training program. Yeah.
And what timeframes do you see for implementing the training?
So, as discussed, so altogether it'll probably take about a month to implement the whole procedure because we want to give the staff time to do the training. So we've got 2 weeks to do the training, then a week later to do the staff meeting and implement any other changes. And then within that last week it should be implemented. With the training also, that'll be, probably take, I'd tell every staff member to set aside an hour to complete the training as well.
It's not a big ask.
No, so hopefully that's okay. Yeah.
That's it for me.
Alright, so that's pretty much my overview on the main clauses that I've found with the issues with policies and procedures. And that's the way we'd go about doing the training and implementing it. So if you're happy with that, just let me know and we can go ahead and do an email.
Happy.
Yeah,
Alright, beautiful, thanks guys.
Thank you.